think you all have my name. I'm Dwain Senterfitt. I'm the Undersheriff here. I'm here tonight to talk to you about an investigation that we just completed that resulted in the arrest of one of our employees. We arrested a police officer a little earlier tonight, Officer David Sumlin, who worked in patrol in Zone 5. He came on the job in 2004. He's been with us for about 8 years. Most of you probably know we have a unit here that we call our integrity unit, and they conduct investigations into allegations of criminal misconduct against members of our agency. And they received some information back last month that this officer that I just mentioned, Officer David Sumlin, was involved in some activity with known prostitutes out in the area where he works. There was a known prostitute in that area, female, that was identified, and we met with her and she agreed to assist us with this investigation. On November 1st, the integrity unit conducted the first deployment out there using this female as a decoy, and she was put in an area out there where this officer, we knew he would be. She made contact with him. They had conversation. During that conversation, the officer told her that he wanted sex and that he would meet with her later in the night. And then he left the area. We took her out of the area. Last night we put her out again, and again she made contact with this officer. They made contact. They carried on the same conversation they had before, talked about various sex acts that he was interested in, and this time after some negotiation on the price, he agreed to do that for $20. He said that he had to go to a call first, but he'd be right back. Of course, we didn't leave her there. We picked her up, and then tonight when he came to work, he was arrested. He was booked into the PDF, charged with 2 counts of soliciting for prostitution, which are second-degree misdemeanors.
Did any of these, did this occur in his police vehicle?
He was probably in and outside of his police vehicle. She was not in the vehicle, I don't believe. She approached him. He would be sitting in his car, and she'd walk up in the area. We were able to get her in the same area that he was in, and he would initiate a conversation with her. So.
While on duty?
Yes.
Before you used her as kind of your decoy or whatever, did she have contact with him prior to those?
She says that they have. She does say that they've never engaged in any sexual activity, but that there has been conversation about it. And so we began to investigate it.
What's his employment status at this point?
He has been stripped of his police power. We took his badge and gun. And I believe in one like this, he's been reassigned until we move forward with the investigation. We have to conduct, first this criminal investigation has to work its way through, and then after that, we will do an administrative investigation where we look at what policies and all he violated to work on the employment status. So that'll take a little while.
It says here that you Mirandized him and interviewed him, and it says general conversation. Can you speak to what general conversation is?
I don't have that document in front of me, so I'm not really sure what you're referring to there. But they did. I mean, they had conversation with him about what went on tonight, and we just like we would with any suspect in any crime. And it's a recorded interview that we do, and we're working on building our criminal case because we intend to prosecute. We've already been in contact with the state attorney's office. We do that, on a lot of cases. As I mentioned in the first case, and I think I did read that earlier, but I don't have it. I don't remember what part you're talking about. But in the first case, they never got down to a dollar figure and all that, so we felt like to strengthen that, we needed to get her out a second time, make sure it wasn't just somebody, trash talking a little bit, and it didn't appear to be that way. This is obviously very serious, but what I'd like to point out and kind of emphasize to you is that we don't tolerate this kind of behavior here. We hear about something like this, we investigate it, we take action. We don't wait for somebody else to come do it. I've been the undersheriff for about 1.5 years, and I don't know, we've arrested 4 or 5 employees since I've been the undersheriff. We've terminated a pretty good number since then. It's just, we're not going to put up with it. On duty, off duty, we don't really care. Police officers are held to a higher standard than they should be, and we're going to do that.
Did you talk on what tipped you off to start looking into this officer further?
I don't know exactly. I'm sorry, I don't have that. But information came through his sergeant, I believe, that then contacted our integrity unit.
And excuse my ignorance on the issue, but if you use someone as a decoy, is she then not prosecuted for prostitution?
Not for this case.
Okay, but.
I mean, if she had been in the past or whatever,
Future,
well, but
okay.
I mean, she has been before, right? Okay. Don't videotape her. She has before. She is a known prostitute. He knows she's a prostitute. But no, and I mean, in this case, she was working with us. I mean, it's, you know, we have undercover detectives that go out there and do that. I mean, that's the only way you make these kinds of arrests. So.
Does he have any other disciplinary actions in his file?
I'm sure that he does because I remember his name, but I don't have that and it's late, so Melissa can get that for you in the morning.
That may be difficult, but is there any thought to looking further into any of his past activity or anything?
Well, we will certainly, as we build this criminal case, look at everything that we can. This kind of activity, you know, we may get somebody come forward and say, yeah, he did that with me. You can't really use that in a criminal case probably at this point, although, you know, maybe you can. That'll be up to the prosecutor.
At this point, any reason to believe anything happened, like in his police cruiser?
Any other questions?
Were there any taped conversations between the suspect and the CS?
Yes, but you can't have those. They're ongoing active criminal investigation at this point, so no, you can't have those. But you know, someday after this case is prosecuted, if you want them, I'm sure you can have them.
Will there be a mugshot released?
Probably not. You know, they're exempt, so police officers are exempt, so you'll have to dig around and see if you have file photos. I don't know that you would.
Any other questions?
Can you speak to the decision on waiting to arrest him until he got to the station?
Well, honestly, like I talked about, the first case, the first instance that happened on the 1st of November, it was pretty apparent what he was doing, but they never really sort of closed the deal. He talked about sex acts and what he wanted to do, but they really didn't talk about price. You could tell from the conversations, though, in talking to the investigators, that's where they were going. It just didn't happen. And then last night, they let that go through. He left the scene because he had to leave and go somewhere, and told her he would be back. And obviously, we weren't going to leave her out there for that to happen. So the decision was made that at that point we would just get her out of the area and all that, and we would take care of it this morning. So that's what we did, or not this morning. When he got to work today, so it was this afternoon late.
Were there any encounters off duty, or was this all on duty?
These two that I'm talking about are both on duty, and if there were anything else, I don't know what it is.
And was there anything as a result of him spending his time doing this, and anything, him missing any calls or anything like that?
That's a little difficult to say. He's obviously out there during some of the times that we were watching him, because the integrity unit's been watching him for a little while, not giving the city their money's worth. So the criminal part of this investigation, there are two things. I know they're confusing to you, but there's a criminal investigation, there's an administrative investigation, and you sort of have to let the criminal one run its course first, because, you know, in a criminal investigation, they have all the same rights that any of you have. They have the right to remain silent, they have the right to an attorney, they have all those things. And so, but once it gets to an administrative investigation, we're allowed, we ask them questions and they have to answer us. In a criminal investigation, you can't do that. They have the right to remain silent. So we have to wait so we don't taint the criminal investigation. But once we get to the administrative part, then we will be looking into these plus anything else that we found that were violations of our policy, which something like not doing calls and stuff would be.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank
Sorry
you.
for the mess up with the email or whatever, but
Yeah, sorry that we were so late.
we're glad to email us stuff, so.